Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast, as always brought to you by the great folks at Titan MRI and coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Yes, we do Thursday show here at my house, and I appreciate my wife stays home and she works at home, but she takes care of the dogs, so there's no barking. Although poor doggy is sick right now. Should have a great show for you today. Can't wait to talk to Jason Odom. He'll be on the show today. He'll do Yes, No, Where, Maybe with us as well. Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, and come to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, which I am on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line as well. And then Coach Spurrier, I think, is going to be here on Monday. I know he's doing some traveling, and I'll know for sure in a day or so. If not, we'll get somebody else. We hope he is, because we always love having him on. And then on next Thursday, John Clay from the Lexington Herald Leader will join us and talk about Kentucky. Kind of a big week. Like I said, on Saturday night and Sunday, and I think on Monday, it was a big win for Billy, the last game. Just makes the other games even bigger now. You know, if Florida loses that game, the Kentucky game is not as big a deal. It may be a big internal deal, but it's not as big a deal. I'm just telling you. It's just the way it works. All right. Let us get to our Process Service of Gainesville starting five. We appreciate Process Service of Gainesville. Scott Hart, you know how to get a hold of him. All the information's right there. If you need to get a hold of him, just give me a call. I'll help you hook up with Scott. We appreciate him as our sponsor of our starting five. Or starting lineup. Depends on what day it is. I just decide. When I wake up in the morning, I think it'll be starting five today. And tomorrow it'll be starting lineup. All right. Let's go with number one. And that is that pretty impressive, to be honest with you, that the Florida-Charlotte game's a sellout. Now, I know that a lot of people still will not go to that game because they're going to say, you know, yeah, I have tickets, but it's Charlotte, and but I think this is a little bit of the Napier mania. Now, I'm not going to call it mania, but I'm just saying people are excited about what's going on here now. But this has been going on really for 2 years. When you think about it, this will be their 10th home game, I believe, in the last 2 years. I think they had 7 last year. This will be their 3rd this year. So 10 home games, 6 sellouts. And I know there's a lot of people who say, oh, man, it was always sold out back in the old days. No, it didn't. It didn't sell out. But, you know, when it did, well, yeah, when they're playing FSU, when Tebow was playing, when you know, and back in the 90s when they were obviously an elite level program. Florida's not elite level right now. They're trying to get back to being elite. And I think they took a stride towards it, a big monster step towards it, but still a long way to go. Kind of like that Utah game last year, kind of like the Auburn game in 19, kind of like the Ole Miss game. And so what was that, 15? Yeah. You know, one win doesn't make you elite. One win is celebrated and you enjoy it. And I hope all of you out there, all you fans, are enjoying this right up until the last moment that you can enjoy it. In other words, once they put the ball hits, toe meets leather at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, that's when you need to let Tennessee go. However, I do believe a little bit that there are fans that are going to this game and have bought tickets that normally wouldn't because they had so much fun Saturday. Not the tailgating, the atmosphere, the kind of things that Florida is doing, you know, with the LED lights and everything, and the way the introductions changed. I think people just love and again, this is what Florida created in baseball, where people just like going to the games. And that's the important thing. Again, this goes back to the vision that Scott Strickland has, and a lot of people aren't happy with the part that may require them to lose seats, but they're going to probably have to lose seats no matter what, because if you're going to make the place a little bit nicer, you've got to put railings in. That's the law. It's ADA. It was grandfathered in that you didn't have to, and they should be in there, and they need to be in there. The point is, I think people are falling back in love with the stadium that they used to really love. And making it better is only going to make it better. It's not going to make it worse. Like Scott on this show said, there's no guarantee we're going to reduce capacity. It's part of the thinking that we have that we may have to. You can't make bigger seats the same and have the same number of people. So look, let's just wait until we see all the plans. Let's not worry about it. I think fans have let Florida and Scott Strickland, the fans who don't want them to expand it, to know that they don't want them to expand it or to contract it anyway. So we'll see what happens. But this is obviously Florida is going to have to deal with this, having three starting offensive linemen out for this game because, well, at least for the first half, Mazuka and George, Damian George, both for the first half for the fighting situation. You just can't go all John L. Sullivan on them. And I'm going to defend the honor of my wife. I don't know what that was. But and then Ibukwin is out as well with the ankle. I wonder if they're holding him out. It's bothering him. And, he gutted it out in the Tennessee game. And maybe they're going to hold him out, make sure he's 100% for Kentucky. We'll see. We'll see. So, and also you don't have Trey Wilson, may not have him for Kentucky. Sound like you wouldn't, but we'll see what happens going there. But let's get to number 2, which is a little bit about Charlotte. And guys, this is a weird team in a lot of ways. They're Colorado East because they have gone through the portal, and I think they have more than 60 players and more than 40 left. Charlotte. They've got a coach that's very unconventional, wears basically cut off sweatshirt, workout shirt, ripped down the hair, and gym shorts. Now, I don't know if he's going to wear that tomorrow, but that's what he wore to the opener. And that's kind of the way he is. He just likes he wants to be comfortable. Not the worst thing in the world, said the guy who never wants to wear pants. Because, I've got it worked out where I only have to wear them about once a week at the most, and even then it's jeans. But I like to wear shorts. We live in Florida. You should want to wear shorts. Charlotte, you probably got to wear long pants at some point. But Biff Poggi it's kind of a route that we've never seen from somebody. Was an investment banker, and then coached high schools for a while. Had a little stint at Michigan. Went back to high schools. That was very successful, and then went to Michigan again. And was basically the consigliere, is what they called him. He basically was an associate head coach for Jim Harbaugh, and a lot of people give him a lot of credit. He didn't take crap from anybody there, and he's not going to take it here. He's already gotten mad at his team for the way they played last week. They lost, I think it was like 45-24. They're 1-2 so far. They've lost to Georgia State, somebody else I can't remember, and they beat South Carolina State. So anyway, look, Florida should be better, but they have done a great job with the portal of getting some guys in. And that includes Jalen Jones, who is, you guys may remember him, and I wrote about him for Gators Wire. He was a big-time recruit. I mean, he was a 4-star. He was a low 4-star, high 3-star guy. It depended on which service you looked at. But he was a quarterback, and we thought he was going to be a difference maker. He could, just add to the room. And he was a Mullen recruit when he got here. He got here early, and in fact, he played in the spring game. Meanwhile, we found out that a week before it eventually came out, was accused of sexual assault twice within 30 minutes, which broke the previous record. 2 different people. And again, the charges were never pressed. They were dropped. It all got worked out, but Florida encouraged him to leave because let's just put it this way. There were other incidents that had happened. Okay. There were issues. The bad news was that he took Chris Steele with him, and Chris Steele was a big time recruit, like a 5-star. And Chris Steele I think he went to Oregon and then to USC, or USC and then Oregon. I don't know whatever happened to Chris Steele. That's something I meant to look up. Maybe I'll look that up today. But anyway, so he's their quarterback, but they do run 2 quarterbacks in and out. And One of them's a really good passer. Jalen Jones can really run. He leads the team in rushing. They've got a kid from Colorado. Again, like I said, there's Colorado East. Well, this guy was at Colorado, and he transferred in because he's one of those guys Dion told to get out, and he's their leading receiver. So interesting to how they built through the portal. Let's get to number 3 on the process service of Gainesville starting 5, and that is listening to Billy Napier this week. It's pretty clear he gets it, and the it is it's one win, enjoy it, but we have got to come back and get better. We've got to keep trying to get better. There is a long way to go. We can't handle things the way we did last year, where we get a big win and we lose the next game. Utah, Kentucky, we all know what happened there. South Carolina, Vanderbilt. I mean, they did not handle prosperity well at all last year, and that is something they've got to handle better. And we talked about that on Monday a little bit. The question is, do the players get it? You don't know until you run out there, and you're going to be down a couple of guys, as we know. So we'll see how they handle. But it's certainly Florida's 28-point favorite. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't cover. But again, Charlotte is just its first year in the AAC. It's only been a program for 9 years. It's funny, they were a program for 3 years back in the 40s, and then they said, we don't want to play football. And then give the students credit. They pushed to have football come back, and they managed to get that done. So good for them. Good job by the students there. So my point is, Napier understands what we're talking about. We always worry about trap games and everything like that. Do the players, do they come out with the same kind of enthusiasm? Do they come out with the same kind of intensity? Probably not. I mean, it's almost impossible to do that 2 weeks in a row. I heard Chris Doring and Jacob Hesser talking about this the other day, where they were talking about how when you play an SEC schedule, it's hard at the end of the year. You get worn down mentally, and not just physically, but mentally. And I mean, here's this Florida football team that left it all on the field. There's no question in my mind. They left it all on the field Saturday night. Now you're asking them to come out and lay it on the field again. They got to do it. You only have so many opportunities. And I think the fans are going to give them a boost, and the fans are coming there. They're going to celebrate Tennessee and try to celebrate Charlotte. It's going to be, it's a game that I'm not saying I think Florida could be in trouble in this game. But it could be one of those games like we saw around the country last week, where a team that is clearly better struggles. So we'll see. We'll see Monday I'm even coming back. Boy, was I wrong about that. I'm not worried about it because I think Napier is getting his message across to these guys. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a difference between getting your message across and have an opportunity to get it across to the guys you handpicked to come here, to be here. You didn't recruit all of them, but the ones that are still here are the ones that you are willing to do what you ask them to do. And I think that's important. So we'll see how it goes. Number 4 on the process service of Gainesville starting 5. What a weekend this is going to be. What a Saturday it's going to be. I don't want to say weekend. The NFL, obviously, you love that. And we'll get to that. But the games are incredible. And a little bit later today, I'm going to give you a peek into my mind, which you don't really want as a rule, but I'm going to show you what I've written down over here. And I did it on Tuesday, but without going into detail about a lot of these games, because some of them are going to be on the great picks, some are going to be on the quick picks, some are going to be part of the swamp games of the weekend. But there's so much to watch, and so I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna do work really hard not to eat bad food like I did the first weekend. Yeah, chicken wings and a Cuban are not good. That's too much. And finally, number 5 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. And I'm choking up a little bit. As many of you know, and most of you know, Buddy Tevens passed away Tuesday. Not a big surprise, because we were getting nothing but bad news coming out of Atlanta, where they had moved him from Shands. I believe that's correct. And again, I'm going by what people said. Of course, he had the terrible accident. We talked about that. in March and riding his bike and had his leg amputated. I don't even know if he ever totally came out of what was going on. It's just sad. It's one of the saddest things ever. In fact, if you look over which hand is it? This hand. Since we're backwards on here. This hand, there we go. That helmet right there is a Dartmouth helmet, and we put it up a special for today's show. But he sent it to us for our golf tournament, and we held it back because we wanted to get it signed by him, and he hadn't signed it. He forgot to sign it, and so we held it back. And I felt like it was important to display it today. Let me tell you what, Buddy Stevens is a genuinely good person, and there aren't that many of them out there. I know a lot of them, but I'm just saying, I gravitate to those kind of people, and I gravitated towards him. We had become really good friends, and he came on our radio show a couple times, and we were going to get him on this podcast maybe this year, but obviously that can't happen. But the things he did for player safety with the robotic tackling dummies, pretty amazing stuff. Brilliant guy, really good coach, really good dude. Was on Steve's staff, I think 99 and 2000. I think that's right. It may have been 2001 too. And then obviously went to coach, be a head coach several places. Tulane was one of them. But there are some people you just really love, even though you don't see them that much. But if you hear their name, you go, "Oh, I gotta watch this game tonight. I gotta watch this game. Who's playing? Dartmouth and Cornell. It's Buddy Stevens' team. I gotta watch it." So our prayers go out to Kirsten, obviously, and the whole family, and just sad. That's. There's not enough positive things I can say to negate the negative. It's just hate to live in a world without Buddy Stevens, to be honest with you. But we'll keep going forward. All right. We're going to try to bring you back up with our good friend Jason Odom is going to join us. And we'll talk about what his son is doing as a tight end at Florida, what he's doing, what everybody's doing. And we got a yes, no, where maybe as well to play with him. He'll be coming to you on the Big Meal Zoom line, which I'm on here because we are from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios today. And of course, another duly noted podcast brought to you by Titan MRI. We'll be back with Jason Odom in just a minute.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios, and it's a great pleasure to bring in. It's funny because I'm at the game. I'm walking up there, and I am sweating like a Robbie, is like I call it, or sweating like a Shack. Either one you want to use. And because it was pretty humid, and all of a sudden this big hand comes up, and I can tell the guy's way taller than me. And I'm like, I can't imagine who this could be. And it hits me on the shoulder. I look around, and it's our next guest, Jason Odom, who joins us on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Jason, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good. I'd actually, you didn't know this, but I'd actually seen you walking down by Flavette Field, and I wanted to grab you then, but I got too far behind. But I took a shortcut and saw you near the stadium. And I said, I'm going to go scare Pat a little bit.
It didn't scare me as much as it was. I can't wait to see who this is, because it's got to be somebody as big. Because it was a big paw, and it was also, you could tell it was coming from up here. Yeah. So where are your seats? Do you have great seats for the game? I mean, being the son of a player.
No, listen. This is bad, but unless it's an away game, I've never sat in my son's seats because of my back issues. I've got to have real chair back. So for years, even before he was born, I've depending on what year it was, I've bought tickets and seats. And so I've got seats up in the touchdown terrace that we pay for, aside from what his allotment is, because I can't sit in those bleacher seats anymore.
Oh, I'm right there with you. Believe me, when my wife talked me into going to this game, and I was like, yeah, I got a press pass, so I can go sit, and I get on that back row, and I can just stretch out like this and everything. So yeah, that's where you should be sitting. You should come into the press box and sit up there. You can get a lot, and you get free Diet Cokes too. So
yeah. Well, the touchdown terrace, I mean, it's a pretty penny to be up there, but we get all the free. I guess it's Diet Pepsi or something, but I kill that the whole time I'm up there.
Yeah, my wife gets to sit up there every once in a while because Jeremy's taking care of us sometimes, but she loves it up there. That's her favorite place to go watch a game. It was so cool, and I talked about this a little bit on Monday, to have the sons of two former Gators be a big part of that game, and of course Khalil Jackson and then for Jonathan as well to make those two catches, and just to see that legacy. It warms my heart to see those guys that were sons of players able to contribute like they are.
Yeah. So when Khalil made his catch, I started elbowing Linda, my wife, and going, "Hey, that's Willie's son. That's Willie's son." So it gets me excited too when some guys that I played with and their sons are out there making plays. So I hope that's the same for Willie. But I haven't talked to him about it. But I get excited when I see Khalil do something nice.
It's funny because if you're down sitting in the terrace, you probably didn't see when Jonathan fumbled there on the goal line, did you?
Well, so no, I didn't. But within minutes, I got a video from a friend of mine showing me the television replay, and so I'm like, he fumbled that ball, and that ball was live.
Yeah, but he got it back.
He got it back. He got it back.
That was huge.
What was funny is after the game, Pat, I said, he said something about not reaching for the goal line. I said, well, that's a lie. And I said, he goes, I wasn't reaching for the goal line. I said, I beg to differ. I've got video already that you're reaching for the goal line. I have video.
Yeah, because when he's getting near the goal line, I'm thinking he may be able to stretch it out and get in. And when he went to stretch it out, of course, somebody whacked it right out of his hand. But he still made a good play. It's got to be really warming your heart with the injuries he's had and everything, to be able to be a major contributor this year. He's had a good season so far.
Yeah, you know what? It's been I described it as the most fun, anxiety-ridden season ever, because I never imagined this quick. I mean, he had ACL reconstruction January 4th of this year, and the fact that he's played in the first three games and played significant snaps in all three games that we're in this position. And my prayer has just been that he's out there having a blast, contributing, and that he can somehow stay healthy on it. So, and I can see how he's he's certainly glad he's out there, but I can see that each week, there's a part of major rehabs that's the actual physical rehab, and then there's a part as a player where you've got to have confidence in that joint again. And I've been through it, and I know he's going through it. These are my words, not his, but I can see him, gaining confidence on that knee each week, and hopefully it won't be too long where even as his dad, I won't be able to tell that he had surgery.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But that is when you think about it. So he would have been practicing in August. So that's what, 7-8 months. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Usually they tell you it's a year, but I know that the ACL surgery's gotten better. But it used to be you couldn't even really do anything for a year.
Yeah, you can't even think about playing for a year. But to be fair, the training staff told us it was going to be a 6 to 8 month recovery. I just, I can't get rid of the kind of the old nature in me, which is hearing that same thing that you and I both were around for years and years. Oh, it's a year. So it's not different than what they've told us from the beginning. It's just, still hard to kind of fathom in my mind.
All right. So when you were at Florida, of course, 2-time winner of the Jacobs Trophy, which I know you received nothing for, but
I'm glad you remember that.
Just a pat on the back and a warm smile is all you got for that. But so how many tips do you give your son about the blocking part of being a tight end?
Oh, every time after every game, and we go to the away games as well now too. I'm dad, and I coached him in high school, at least with the blocking scheme. I can't tell him how to run routes and catch a football. I know how to block, and so even after every game, after this game, after the Utah game, I was out there, and I'm going over, what I see minutes after I see him after the game. So, I always try to congratulate him on what he did good, but if I see something in the blocking game that I feel he needs to hear, I do it respectfully, but I still try to coach him up, and hopefully he listens a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully you don't go to practice and walk out on the practice field and go, "I got this, Coach Sale. I'll handle this."
Listen, I love going to practice, Pat, but I purposefully don't go to practice since my son's been there, unless I'm invited as a group of some honoree or parents or former players. But I try not to go up there and meddle around in his business during the week.
Yeah, no, it's that's good because, as you know, there are people who do. And you were around some of them. I'm not going to mention names, but I remember a certain quarterback when you were playing. But obviously, when a win like that, when you think about it, for Florida to win that game and to won every home game against Tennessee for 2 decades, and that doesn't even include your group, where Tennessee was really good back then, and you still beat them at home almost all the time. Well, actually, you guys did beat them at home every year, right? 95 and 93.
Well, so my freshman class technically was 4-0 against them, but the guys that got redshirted are the only ones that can say that, because in '92 we actually lost in Neyland and lost pretty bad. That was I think the last game before I started starting, because that was in the first 3 or 4 games, and I didn't start till the 4th game of that year.
But you were on the plane when it almost went down?
Oh yeah, I was on the plane, the emergency landing in Atlanta, and I think Ellis and a couple other guys wouldn't get back on a plane. They rode home the equipment guys or something. So yeah, that was a nightmarish trip altogether. But
I always liked James Bates' line. He said that headline the Gainesville Sun was going to be "Gators get killed twice."
Yeah. Well, thank the Lord that wasn't in His plans for us. But there was probably without exaggerating, probably, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds to a minute of what felt like free fall in a plane. Wow. Where even the stewardesses were bawling their eyes out. We thought it was over for a little while until the plane eventually leveled out.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, so that team lost, but obviously then you starting after that and over there. Who was the right tackle? I don't want you to name names, but I could look it up if I really wanted to.
It was a fifth year senior that he did deserve a shot. But honestly, it wasn't working out, and I don't really think that his listen. I can't speak for him, but as an outsider's perspective, it didn't appear like his heart was really in the game either. That he had been there so long that that was kind of just expected of him. So I don't think he didn't take it hard. We never had bad blood. I mean, he's not like one of my great friends to this day, but if I see him, we still are cordial to each other. And but it was gosh, I had it on the tip of my tongue before
I can look it up. Don't worry about it. I was just curious. But obviously, once you got in there, it turned the whole season around, right?
I'm embarrassed that I don't remember it because I know his name every day of the week. I'm embarrassed that it's flown out of my head literally. So,
well, wait till you get to be my age. It's really going to go but fast.
Well, I did hit people in my head for a living.
I have to catch myself and go, it's Jason and Jonathan, not Jonathan and Jason. So
yeah, Brian Taylor is his name.
Brian Taylor. Huh? Oh yeah. I remember
Ryan Taylor. Ryan Taylor.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
because they graduated like four guys off that 91 team, four linemen, and the only returning starter was Jim Watson. I think everybody else was brand new.
By the way, where is Reggie Green now? Of course, he started that year too as a freshman left tackle.
Yeah, so I think the last time I saw Reggie was at an event up there, but he hasn't been to our last couple. The last time I had seen or talked to him, he was, I think, a youth pastor down in the area where he grew up, the Bradenton, Sarasota area.
Right. Cool.
I think that.
And you guys both played in the NFL too, so
pretty. Yeah, good. I don't remember how long Reggie's stint was.
He wasn't in for very long, yeah, but I know he did. He got some time in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Jason Odom joining us on our Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and it's time for us to play the game everybody loves to play. Yes, no way, or maybe. 3 questions coming at you. Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. Go in there and tell them, hey, I saw Dooley Noted Podcast, another Dooley Noted Podcast, free fries with your order. How about that? So maybe you can stop in there on the way up here. I assume you're coming up to the game Saturday.
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah, for sure. We don't have any plans to miss any of them. So
good for you. Yeah, I get it. Like, I always felt bad for people that had to go to all these games because their kid was playing if they weren't playing. You know what I mean? And you would go just in case he got in the game, but when you go and he's going to be a factor, it makes things different.
Oh, it does. And to be fair, we didn't go to away games when he wasn't scheduled to play. So even if there was a chance, we still didn't go because I mean, there's a lot of energy and expense and all that. So I'm like, if he's not scheduled to play, I'm not going to the away games.
All right, yes, no way, or maybe. Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Number 1, Jason Odom, you are in the Bartow High School Hall of Fame.
No, I don't think it exists. and there's a funny story behind that because my wife just got inducted into the Frostproof Hall of Fame last weekend, and she made fun of me that I'm not in Bartow's, and I said, I don't think Bartow has a Hall of Fame. I said, I think my jersey is retired or something, but I don't think we have a Hall of Fame.
Who's the second most favorite player from Bartow? I don't know.
There was a guy that played before me actually that's really well known and famous, and I think that I don't know if he made the semifinals in NFL Hall of Fame balloting for this year or last. And again, I'm embarrassed that I'm not remembering the name, but he's from Bartow, but he was well before me. I'm talking 20 years before me.
Gotcha.
I think it's Ken something. I think he was a wide receiver for the Bengals or the Browns. Is that ringing a bell to you?
Ken Riley.
Right. Yes. He
was a DB. Yeah.
Oh, he's a DB. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I
I'm
think he
pretty
made
sure
the Hall of Fame,
he's a Bartow graduate.
yeah, but he didn't make the Bartow Hall of Fame. So,
Yeah, we're both in
all
that same boat.
right, number 2 on yes, no, way, or maybe. There are times when you think back, what if I hadn't redshirted, or what if I had redshirted and didn't play as a freshman? I could have been part of the '96 national champion.
Yes, I think about it all, and I wonder, would that have changed my fortune for the national championship and a Super Bowl in Tampa if I would have gotten the same 5 years in at Tampa? I think about it often.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I missed the national championship at Florida by 1 year and missed the Super Bowl by 1 year in Tampa.
Yeah. Well, one reason I asked you is because I know it haunts Doring every day. So,
Oh yeah, I'm the same boat. Same boat.
all those guys from the '95 team, though, that graduated, it was such a great team, undefeated, the only team that's ever gone undefeated and won the SEC, and then got to play for a national championship. But because of that game, because Nebraska was the greatest team ever to play, as we all know, it's like you kind of go, we didn't get to play, we didn't get to win the national title, and
Yeah. No,
you guys,
it's sour grapes for sure, 100%.
That's okay. Sour grapes are okay. Okay, finally on yes, no, way, or maybe. Today is Bill Murray's 73rd birthday. Your favorite movie that Bill Murray was in of all time is Caddyshack.
Yes, way. Love it.
It's my second favorite, but my favorite is Groundhog Day. I love Groundhog Day. I can watch that movie. It's a drop the remote movie where you find it, you go, I'm done until it's over, and then I'll come back.
I love it too, but mine are probably reversed. Mine would be Groundhog second. So I mean, I love both those movies. You can't go wrong with either one.
No, absolutely not. And What About Bob is another good one too. I didn't even mention Ghostbusters. Think about that.
My wife loves What About Bob. That may be her number one.
It's really funny. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. But anyway, happy 73rd. I did want to ask you this because I know you were gone by the time Buddy Tevens got to Florida, but I didn't know if you had any interaction with him, or I know I was sad to hear about him Tuesday passing away.
No, I didn't know Buddy, and I read a little bit of the article, and I was just, heart-wrenching to hear about. Of course, I knew some guys that were obviously on staffs with him, and I think Sam McCorkle was one that was still up there.
I think Sam is the interim coach right now, I think.
Okay, yeah, and so I know some guys that are close to him, and I just hated to hear that. Just what a tragedy, man.
Well, hate to hear it ended on a down note, but hey, look, great seeing you again, buddy, and it was great seeing you at the game, and great to see your son doing so well, and we're all rooting like heck for him. You know that.
Well, I appreciate it. It's fun for us, and I'll always say hello to you whenever I see you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Jason Odom, thank you. All-American and two-time Jacob Blocking Award winner. Twice, baby. All right, thanks a lot for joining us, man. We'll be back with more here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
This week, the Gainesville Quarterback Club welcomes back Coach Urban Meyer. Really looking forward to hearing what Coach has to say after the debut of his Swamp Kings. Next week, we welcome University of Florida President Ben Sass. Excited to hear from President Sass now that we're voted #1 public university.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. And we appreciate Jason Odom for coming on the show again, as we mentioned earlier. I think Coach Burr will be on Monday. And then on next Thursday, we'll talk to John Clay from the Lexington paper about what's going on in Kentucky. We'll see what happens with them this week. They got Vandy, and we'll get to that game as well. We got a lot of things to cover here in the third segment of the show, where we have a lot of fun as always. Let's start off with our three things brought to you by Hesser and Kipke. And of course, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their 5-star Google reviews. Set an appointment at hklawfl.com, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke. Let's get to three things. Number one, I knew that realignment would kind of get pushed to the side once we started the actual season of games being played. So we kind of knew that was going to happen. And I haven't heard much about it, but then there is a associate AD out at Boise State who has written a proposal about relegation. Now, for those of you who don't know what relegation is, and I'm not 100% sure, but if you don't play well, you get relegated to a lower league. So there's been a lot of talk about this. Is what happens in all these English leagues and European leagues. I don't particularly care for it. I think, I don't know that it's ever going to come, but it's kind of weird that it popped its head up again, where you could see if they decide to do this. And who knows, in 5 years, can anybody tell me what college football is going to look like? And I'll answer you the question. No, you have no clue what it's going to look like. I know it'll look like this year. I know it may look like next year. I think I know it's going to look like 3 years. But by the time you get to 5 years out, you could have relegation. You could have more realignment. Pac-12 who knows what the Pac-12, if it'll even exist. It's still a lot of dust that needs to settle before we're going to know the future of college football. But relegation would certainly be interesting. Number two on Hesser and Kipke's three things. I'm not a big soccer guy. You know that. I've talked about it. I do like the sport. I just don't watch a lot. I don't get into professional soccer the way I used to when I was younger, and covered the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, covered the Jacksonville T-Men. But anyway, I have been following the Messi story, which has been a big deal. And now he's out, and he's having muscle fatigue. And my first reaction was, so he's tired? Now, look, every day it felt like he was scoring goals and playing in a million different leagues and playing all club leagues and playing with his own country's team. There's a reason why you have muscle fatigue. Maybe you're doing too much. And shopping at Publix that one day. We saw that video. But, you got to be careful, man. It's great that you got him and you want to use him and you want to get him out there, but clearly his muscles are wearing out. So we'll see what happens there. And then finally, on Hesser and Kipke's three things, what's getting no attention this week? The return of Jim Harbaugh. And again, because suspended for the first three games, the school decided to do that because he didn't cooperate with investigators over what was a minor deal that he had to make into a major deal, and it's his fault. And so they suspended him for 3 games. And we all looked at the schedule and go, well, they're not going to have a game there. And you know what? Their first conference games against Rutgers. And I'm sure that they were saying, hey, we'll suspend you for 3 games. Then the NCAA is not going to suspend you for a 4th down the road. And then you can get back for the start of the conference schedule. So what did he do? He was in the chain gang. He mowed the yard. He did all these things while Michigan was playing. But, he paid attention and watched tape. But he's back this week against Rutgers. I don't think that many people care, but Rutgers is 3-0. But it is just, that is how much Dion is dwarfing my favorite sport. Now, that good for Dion and good for Colorado, but it is just dwarfing the storylines that are pretty interesting out there. It's just the way it is. Got to accept it, I guess. That is 3 things brought to you by our good friends at Hesser and Kipke. Let's get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. In fact, I got to call Kyle when I get done here because we're going to get him to play in the Stop Children's Cancer Tournament is coming up in about 4 weeks. It's the week of the South Carolina game, whatever that is. So I'm looking forward to that. Got to get him to be a partner. He's a good player. We're going to give you 2 games to pick this week. Hey, there's so many good games. You need to be able to pick 2 games. So we're going to give you 2, and we're going to start off in Colorado. And we're going with the spreads I got the last time I looked. Colorado's getting 21 at Oregon. Man, I cannot see Colorado losing by 21. But sometimes at that stadium at Alton, they can just get it going, and it's hard to slow it down. And we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And then Ohio State giving 3 at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to beat them. I'm a big Sam Hartman guy. So those are the 2 games. Colorado plus 21, Ohio State minus 3. I know, I'm making you guys work to qualify. And I tell you what, we should do a poll in about a week and a half, I think is when we're going to do a poll and give you a chance to win some great prizes, including $25 from Leonardo's gift certificate. All right, let's get to our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. And I think it's really cool. And again, Adams Rib Company. We love Adams Ribco to Go, man. Go over there all the time and get a nice, I say, Karen, I got dinner. Don't worry about it. And so all I got to do is walk in there, talk to some nice people, walk out of there with great barbecue. And I'm a hero. And when he opened the place over there, the to-go place, and I was like, Adam, are you doing this just for me? It's like, no, this is the location we wanted to be in. Okay, but he might have done it a little bit for me. Anyway, we appreciate him sponsoring the Gators of the Week and the Gator of the Weekend. The Gator of the Week is Dr. Karen Kearney, and she is a teacher at Buell's. And those of you who don't know, she was a Teacher of the Year, and she will be Mr. Two-Bits or Mrs. Two-Bits, or is it Ms. Two-Bits? She'll be Two-Bits. Let's just leave it at that. And that, I mean, I have no problem, I'm excited to be honoring a teacher. I have so much respect for teachers, what they have to deal with, the minute salaries that they get, the hard work that they put in, and, taking care of our kids, for all this time that they have to take care of them. So Dr. Karen Kearney is, and it could be pronounced Carney. I apologize if it is Dr. Karen, and you can call me and tell me what it is. But Kearney is the way I see it. She is, again, a teacher at Buell's, and she is the Teacher of the Year in Alachua County. So she'll be Ms. Two-Bits. She'll be Two-Bits for the game this week in front of a sellout crowd. Just got a little more nervous, didn't you, Karen? Yeah, you did. I think you did when you found out this place is going to be sold out. They'll get in a little late, so you may not have a full crowd there. All right, let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club. Great picks. And I wasn't able to make the meeting Tuesday, but I hear Katie Turner just blew them all away. I'll be there this Tuesday. I don't want to say this out loud because I can't remember. I think it may be Urban speaking Tuesday. So that'll be fun. But look forward to that. All right, I'm going to pick 4 games. Again, my record's not great. It's 8-6 right now. And this is according to one of the levels of picks I make. I know. I want to write that down for you. All right. So I'm taking FSU, giving 2.5 at Clemson. What have I seen out of Clemson that makes me think they're going to beat FSU? 0.0, nothing. So I'm just going to take FSU and give the 2.5. I don't think it'll be that close. Auburn is getting 7.5 at Texas A&M, which seems like a lot, but I don't think Auburn's any good, to be honest with you. I think A&M, again, they're at home. I think this is the kind of game that they're going to find a way to win easily going away. Mississippi State is getting 6.5 at South Carolina. I've seen nothing from Mississippi State that has impressed me. South Carolina, I don't know why they can't be consistent. Spencer Rattler lit them up in the first half. I don't want to say lit them up. He played very efficient, good football. Fourth quarter, I think he was 3 of 18 or something. I'm not a big fan of Spencer Rattler's. He doesn't seem like he just gets it all the time. And certainly there were times last year when he got it like nobody got it. When they killed Tennessee and beat Clemson and then the game against Florida, he was awful. So hopefully he is again this year. But I'm going to take South Carolina in that game, giving 6.5 points. Still think it's the best bet. And then Ole Miss getting 7 at Alabama. I think Ole Miss wins this game outright. Yes, you heard me say this, outright. I think Ole Miss wins this game. I don't think Alabama can score with Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to score some points. I mean, they're not going to play a lot of defense, but they don't have to because Jalen Milroe may play defense for them. This is my gut, and again, I was right on Texas, Alabama. I think I'm going to be right about this. I think Ole Miss is going to hand Saban his second defeat, and anybody who bet the over-under and bet the under on 10.5 for Alabama, go ahead and cash in if that happens. That'll do it. All right, let's get to our this, that, and the other. And of course, this, that, and the other is brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, by our great friends at the Ballyhoo Grill, and of course by Dar Shackout. All of them are good friends of ours. And we appreciate them for sponsoring this, that, and the other. All right, let's start out with this. And this was, as I'm going through the late part of baseball season, I am looking at the way how many games there are left to play and how far the Braves are ahead as the league starts stretching. And I'm like, I think there are 94 games left. And then there's 72 games left. All right, we've only got 38 games left when we get a 14-game lead. That should be enough. But I was I don't want to say eyewitness, but when in 1969 when the Cubs came back and ruined it for the it was the Mets that ruined it for the Cubs. I'm sorry, get that straight. So I've got all these things in my mind where I go, I remember when this happened. I remember when that happened. I remember when the Red Sox blew a big lead. So anyway, the point is that was we clinched so early it was almost anticlimactic and dominated the obviously best record in baseball and everything. And I was pretty excited about it. But the other is that I was worried about one thing. They're ending this too early. They're almost clinched too early. Keep your edge. Don't lose your edge. So what's happened? They've lost 5 out of 6. Their lead, and again, now I'm thinking ahead, but it doesn't mean they're going to get there. But their lead now over the Orioles is only 2 games. And why do I care about the Orioles? Well, if you get to the World Series and it's against the Orioles, they'll have home field if they end up with a better record. It's only a 2-game lead, and there's still a couple of weeks ago. And it's only 3.5 over the Dodgers, which is even more important because that comes earlier. So Braves, start going, get your edge back, hone it down. Don't go into this postseason with a bunch of losses in your rear view. So I'm confident, but I'm not cocky. Let's put it that way. That is this, that, and the other, brought to you by Ironwood, by Ballyhoo Grill, and by our good friends at Dar Shackout. All right, for our Swamp games of the weekend, again, we're going to be out there today or if you're not, you're probably listening to this later in the day or tomorrow night, but we're out there every Thursday for home games at the Swamp Restaurant. Jeff Cardozo and I for the tailgate, and we have a blast out there. We had so much fun out there last week. We'll be out there again today, and you can go there and get all kinds of great drink specials, including sangria Saturdays. I'm going to give you a peek into my mind, which on one thing, and my wife even said this, I said, I'm anal about this. And she goes, Pat, you're the least anal person I know, but you are anal about that. And that is this. And if you look at this, I have written down, and I did this on Tuesday, the games for this week that I want to watch. Then I go, oh, I can just use it for another Dooley Noted podcast because I get doing the games of the week anyway. So I rank them. I rank the games by what game I care about the most. So here we go. Noon, FSU Clemson, ABC. That's the number 1 game. 2, Auburn at Texas A&M. That's on ESPN at noon. These are all noon games. Kentucky at Vandy, noon, SEC Network. That's the order I want to watch it. 1, at the 3:30 mark, Ole Miss at Alabama. I want to watch that on CBS as we come to an end of the CBS thing. Colorado, Oregon is 3:30 on ABC. UCLA, Utah, Fox, 3:30. Okay, I'll definitely watch that game. There's some other games I may watch, and then the 7 o'clock games, the late window. Charlotte at Florida. I have to watch it on the Plus because the big TV is the only one that gets the Plus in here. That's fine. I'll watch it on the Plus, and then. But Ohio State Notre Dame is a huge game, as we all know, and then Arkansas at LSU is the 3rd best game, I think. But there's a lot of great games that night. Arkansas LSU, by the way, is on ESPN at 7. Charlotte is on the Plus, as I said. Florida at 7, and 7:30 on NBC is Ohio State at Notre Dame. So those are the games of the weekend, and have fun watching. Finally, let's get to Pat Dooley's story time. And because Florida's playing Charlotte, it reminds me of, and of course, it's brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. We appreciate Mike Jordan and the folks down at Eastlake Pediatrics. So when Florida's playing Charlotte, every time I start to write something about it, I think about back in the old days. My second job out of college was at the Jacksonville Journal, and I covered JU basketball, Jacksonville University basketball. And the Sun Belt tournament was in Charlotte. The Sun Belt tournament was a big deal for me. I'd never really covered basketball tournaments, college teams, so it was cool. I was happy to be there. And the JU did not make the final, but they kept me there another day just to go ahead and cover the final and see what happened. It was a fun tournament, and they had a really good team that year. I think they went to the tournament that year, and that's why they wanted me to stay there. So anyway, so I'm covering the final. The final is between University of New Orleans. I think Butch Van Bredekoff was their coach, and South Alabama. And I want to say Cliff Ellis, but maybe it wasn't him. Whoever it was, it didn't really matter. They went to the Four Corners right from the opening tip. Final score of the game was 22-20. Heck of a game. 22-20. And then the NCAA started making noises like, we've got to get rid of this no clock thing. Women's basketball has it, NBA has it. And so the next year, the Sun Belt came out with a 45-second clock, which was not exactly shutting things down, but it meant you don't have to hurry, but you got to get a shot off eventually, you know. And it really wasn't a bad idea. Vic Bubas was the commissioner at the time, of course, legendary player and coach in the ACC. But so every time I think of Charlotte, I think of two things. One, I had a girlfriend, not even a girlfriend up there. I met her when I was in Fort Lauderdale, and I had her phone number, so I called her. Of course, she already had another boyfriend. I think of her because she was very cute, and I think of the Sun Belt tournament that inspired the shot clock, college basketball. There we go. That is our Pat Dooley story time for today. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the game, enjoy all the games that are being played. Looking forward to coming back Monday, and I'll have so much to talk about with all these games being played. And hopefully, there's not a lot of Gator stuff to talk about. Hopefully, it's just Florida took care of business. Move on to Kentucky. Nobody got hurt. That's the goal. We'll see what happens. But we'll be back with you on Monday. Until then, I am Pat Dooley saying I'm deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.